We are 1, 2, 3 rounds into the NFL draft. Day 3 is on the horizon. Let's talk about the best available players on the board. Special thanks to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Thank you for sponsoring today's video. More on them a little bit later, but let's take a look at my 10 best available players. And I'm going to run through the 10, and then I'll talk about a few here and there. Of course, the wait continues for Shedeur Sanders. He's currently my best available player on the board. I just imagine the baggage of the Sanders family has shot him down boards. There was talk about him just being uninterested in interviews, that he kind of minimized his market. I'm sure we'll see him on day 2 or day 3 somewhere, but I said that about him on day 2. I got edge out of LSU, Braden Switson. You got wide receiver Alec Manor out of Stanford. It's important to note, I think something came up with the knee with him. If you're unfamiliar, he had a red shirt I think he tore actually his ACL in high school. Let me go look at this real quick. Yep, here we go. Out of high school, tore his ACL his senior year. Then he had a red shirt his freshman year at Stanford because he tore his ACL, MCL, and meniscus. So maybe something got flagged there in the medicals. We'll see. We'll hear more about this probably after the draft concludes. Running back Cam Escadabu out of Arizona State. A lot of running backs got pushed down to day 3. I imagine we're going to see a lot of these guys go in the 4th, 5th round. We're going to see maybe a grip of 10 to 15. That's what I believe right now. Jalen Royals out of Utah State. Big fan of his. Thought he should have went in day 2. Kind of is what it is. I'm a sucker for these yak guys. He plays with my ball mentality. Contested catch keen. Kind of had to be. If you don't know, Utah State quarterbacks kind of sucked. David Walker, edge out of Central Arkansas. With him being 25, the fall is a little bit more expected. Danny Stutzman, linebacker out of Oklahoma. Not a lot of splash plays the last couple of years. Just has a good nose for the football, or more so the ball carrier. Running back Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee. Had a bit of a fumbling problem, but again, good speed. Got pushed down the board along with the rest of this running back class. Miles Frazier out of LSU. To me, he was the best offensive lineman at the Senior Bowl. Among the LSU linemen there, Emory Jones ended up going. I imagine we see Frazier pretty early, somewhere on day 3. And then Ty Robinson out of Nebraska, defensive interior, real good gap shooter, strong body, not great change of direction, kind of limited what he could do as a finisher in the backfield. I expect him to come off the board relatively soon. Before we get into more names, I got to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Download the app, sign up using promo code BROSHMO, and they will match that first deposit up to $1,000 dues. Currently for the NBA playoffs, they got the extender. What that entails, basically, you will get a 40% profit boost on game 1, and then you could use that game 1 token to unlock game 2, where that's a 50% profits boost, so on, so forth. If the series makes it to game 7, 100% profits boost. Utterly insane. They got football. If you want some draft props, they got that. If you want baseball, we just started the baseball season, they got that. If you want e-gaming, they got that. It's kind of wild. They got promos each and every day. You can go higher or lower on player stats. They currently have best ball available for the NFL if you want to check that sucker out. But remember, if you do sign up, the promo code is BROSHMO. Please play responsibly. Play within your means. Let's go ahead and move on to these next set of players. As at 11, I got DJ Giddens. More running backs out of Kansas State. Probably a 3rd round prospect. Ends up falling because, well, running backs. Edge out of South Carolina. Kyle Kennard. This edge class was pretty meaty. We saw a good grip of them actually go on day 2. I can't imagine Kyle Kennard makes it long in the 4th round. Joshua Farmer, defensive tackle out of Florida State. A lot of tools there. Still needs to polish up on some things, but I could see him going early in the 4th as well. Marcus Bowe out of Purdue. Guard, played right tackle this past season. I don't think he's made for tackle. He's got the athleticism and he's got fine enough length, but probably profiles better at guard. Did take some snaps at center, but there's a lot about his game that needs some polish. Isaiah Bond, wide receiver out of Texas. He has the looming sexual assault allegation. He responded to that with a defamation. I know I mispronounced the word, but you know what I mean. Lawsuit going the other way. We can pass judgment when there's more context, but probably a big reason behind his fall. Jack Sawyer, edge out of Ohio State, still on the board. He's got the T-Rex arms, doesn't have just high-end athleticism, but the production is too much to ignore. Quinn Ewers, quarterback out of Texas. He's still available. He's currently killing one animal for every hour he goes undrafted. That's a joke, but if you go look at his background, it's nothing but like trophy animals. It's wild. It's kind of wild. Jared Ivey out of Ole Miss. Edge, probably more of a 3-4 end. Didn't test out well. Probably why he ends up making it to day 3. Deone Walker, I'm not surprised. There might be a back issue with him, with a guy that large. Big concern. He could fall further. If he makes it to like the 6th, 7th round, it wouldn't shock me. Tyler Barron, I think I'm just higher on him than the general draft consensus. He feels like a fine player. Feels like a late 3rd, early to mid 4th round pick. Could end up making it to midday 3. Again, it's a stacked edge class that has your flavor of pass rusher. Let's keep rolling. As I got Jeffrey Abasa, linebacker out of Oregon. I'm a sucker for these green dot guys that could just get the defense put in place. He's still available here. Matter of fact, at 24, best available. I got Chris Paul Jr., linebacker out of Ole Miss. Limited length, shorter, a bit undersized, but he flies around the football, flies around the field. I was kind of shocked that Nick Martin out of Oklahoma State actually went ahead of him. Nick Martin was a bit of my guy, so I was happy to see him go in the 3rd round, but Chris Paul is still available here. Going up a little bit at 22, I got Will Howard, quarterback at Ohio State. He feels like a fine quarterback with some upside. You got offensive tackle Cameron Williams out of Texas, 1 year as a starter, very much a project player. Damian Martinez, running back out of Miami, the U, baby, the U. He is very scheme versatile, but he's very much a power back. Again, these running backs, they got pushed down. Billy Bowman, safety out of Oklahoma, a bit undersized, not ideal length, not someone you're going to play in the box, but he's got center field or ball hawking capabilities. CJ West out of Indiana, played a lot of nose tackle, but he's a penetrator. Put him in the 3 gap or put him in the 3 tech and just tell him to go and get after it. He can do that. Elijah Roberts out of SMU, kind of built similarly to, we mentioned Jared Ivey, a bit better in terms of the athletic scores, but didn't face the same type of competition as Ivey. But I think maybe Roberts could be a bit more versatile given his athletic profile. Devin Neal is my boy. Running backs got pushed down, but limited athleticism, not high-end athleticism. I expected him to be a day 3 guy regardless, but I love the tape. He's been productive the last few seasons. Torrey Horton would have been more talked about. Probably went on day 2 of the 2024 NFL draft. Got hurt this year. Out of sight, out of mind. Good size, good speed. Let's keep rolling. Kobe Bryant, corner out of Kansas. This man's a pissant. He will talk your ear off if you are the opposing wide receiver. He plays with great physicality despite only being 180. Wish he tested faster. Very much a 4th round, 5th round player. Shamar James, linebacker out of Florida. Another green dot guy, gets the defense in order. Much better athlete than he tested out though. Jackson Slater, guard / center out of Sacramento State. He's stout, he's thick, he's hard to move, and he moves well. I expect him to go pretty high, or at least pretty early on day 3. Maybe it just ends up, I'm a big fan of his, and he goes maybe in the mid day 3 section. I don't see him in like the 7th round, but you never know. Quincy Riley, corner out of Louisville, super competitive, but still a part of these, like, in my opinion, 4th round corners that are like Yeah, I don't really want to take that guy in the third round. Then again, we saw Minnesota's Justin Wally go in the third round. We saw Noel Williams, who I thought was probably that top corner I had as a fourth round grade. Tyron Ingram Dawkins, a bit of a tweener there at Georgia. He played inside, he played outside, tested out really well. Very versatile. Oh, he's scheme versatile, alignment versatile. I would like to get him in a system and kind of focus on one role, though. Bayshaw Tuden, running back out of Virginia Tech. Fumbles. Home run speed, though. Falls with the rest of this running back class. Quarterback, Kyle McCord out of Syracuse. Straight up gunslinger. A lot of errant decision making, though. RJ Mickens out of Clemson. Just like a solid, good safety with some versatility. I don't think he's as high end of an athlete as he tested out. There are some like targeting concerns, at least when it comes to his tackling. Lower the hitbox, my bro. Just lower it. Trevor Etienne, a running back out of Georgia. Lightning in a freaking bottle. I don't expect him to last long on day 3. And then Barrett Carter, linebacker out of Clemson here at 41. Excuse me, I totally skipped. Dorian Strong out of Virginia Tech, corner. He's very much a zone heavy corner. But got Barrett Carter here at 41. Elijah Badger is my guy out of Florida at wide receiver. Very much a slot player. Tested out well. Yak guy. Love it. Clay Webb, guard / center out of Jackson State. He was a former Georgia recruit. There was a red flag there that involved him getting essentially dismissed from Georgia. It was like a hazing or a prank incident from high school. We're like 5 or 6 years removed from that, so I'm not worried about it. He played well at the Senior Bowl. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I'm kind of curious. Does he get drafted? Because he didn't play this year because NCAA are kind of douches and we're like, hey, one game, we don't think you have eligibility. He was the Shrine Bowl Practice Player of the Week. He was the MVP for the Shrine Bowl game. I think he's a draftable running back. Chamari DK out of Florida. Very fast. Not the most nuanced route runner, but he's got some ball skills. LaQuint Allen, running back out of Syracuse. Hard runner. Doesn't necessarily break a lot of tackles, but he's going to be good around the red zone or in short yard situations. And he brings a very developed passing game skill set, whether it's as a receiver or a pass blocker. Gunnar Helm, tight end out of Texas. He's Jared Wiley to me. I'm just not the biggest fan. We got a couple of slot receivers, Jalen Lane out of Virginia Tech, and then Tez Johnson out of Oregon. Lane tested out far better than Johnson, but Johnson's got really good tape. So I'm kind of cool with either of those guys. Small Munden, linebacker out of Georgia. Very good athlete. He's got some length to him, but if you go back, I think it was at the beginning of this year. Yeah, prior to the season, he was arrested for reckless driving, so could be a red flag there. Then we're going to keep moving on. I got another safety for you. Lathan Ransom. He'd be much higher on this list if he wasn't made of glass. Had a healthy year this past season. You love to see it. He's a good player when on the field. Very much a box player, though. Jordan Phillips, defensive tackle out of Maryland. He's going to be among these guys that can play nose tackle. I think his ceiling's a little bit higher just because he could play the run well, but there is some pass rushing capability there because he is shot out of a cannon. He showed it off at the Shrine. JJ Pegues, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. He had 7 rushing touchdowns this past season. There's some fun versatility. He is going to be drafted, I think, in the next 2 rounds. And then we got safety, really a slot, maybe box safety. Sebastian Castro out of Iowa. He's an older prospect, will be 25 at some point in his rookie year. Not the best athlete, but good instincts. Dante Thornton Jr., wide receiver out of Tennessee. He is big at 6'5", 205 pounds, and he runs really fast. Big, fast, vertical target. Baron Sorrell out of Texas, edge. Limited length, but plays with some grit. He can play the run game well. He's got some pass rushing upside, but kind of gets lost in the sauce of this edge class. Logan Brown out of Kansas, offensive tackle, former 5-star. Didn't really get to start as a full-time starter until he transferred from Wisconsin to Kansas. He's got some tools. Joshua Gray, guard slash center out of Oregon State. Very much a wide zone, outside zone blocking scheme. That's where you want him. He moves really well. He played tackle for a large part of his career at Oregon State, but he's probably better suited to play guard. Rashard Smith, running back out of SMU, former Hurricane, played slot receiver, moved to running back, looked good. Very much a receiving back, though, or maybe a home run hitter. We got Za Frazier out of UTSA. Corner, great length, very fast, very Rick Wolin-esque, I would say. Let's keep moving. I want to talk about 100 players. We're good. So we got to keep rolling. Cody Simon, linebacker out of Ohio State. First full year as a starter, looked really solid. Just plays all over the field. You love to see it. Kamen Rucker out of North Carolina, edge. He's short, limited length, coming off a season where he was injured. Kind of sucks, but he's been productive when on the field. Wide receiver Xavier Restrepo out of Miami. I love him after the catch. He can create. He's hard to bring down. He's very much a slot guy, but he knows how to find the soft spots in coverage. He's very much that security blanket. Not a great athlete. Ran like a 4.83, 4.85 40. Jalen Conyers, tight end out of Texas Tech. I'm a sucker for Conyers. I loved his, was it 2022 at Arizona State, but never really expanded off of that breakout year. At Texas Tech, he was kind of the Wildcat option. So it was kind of fun. You got Thomas Fedone, the second out of Nebraska. Started the first couple of years, banged up, hurt. Played the last 2 seasons, but the passing attack hasn't been like crazy there in Nebraska. He's got some receiving upside. He really does. I got a slew of running backs here. Tosh Brooks out of Texas Tech. If you're looking for that bowling ball build, that's a guy. Jarquez Hunter out of Auburn. Very much a one-cut player that can take it to the house. He's got some relatively good contact balance. And then Jordan James out of Oregon. Very good vision. Just not at his size, not going to drop your jaw in terms of his athletic scores. And then I got Denzel Burke out of Ohio State, corner. Corey Black out of Oklahoma State, corner. These are your press man guys. They're very scheme dependent. I wouldn't like them in off coverage zone. Keep rolling. I got another corner, Zy Alexander out of LSU. Might be better served as a safety, but I like him as a press corner, maybe in a more zone-heavy scheme. Fadil Diggs out of Syracuse, edge. He's a DPR. Pin your ears back and go and get after it, young man. He can do that. Defensive tackle, Cam Horsley out of Boston College. Kind of like he was one of my final watches along the defensive line, and I was pretty impressed, man. He's stout, powerful, violent, surprising first step, very good run defense. He's still putting together his pass rush toolbox and just limited lateral ability. But if you're looking for someone that can maybe play that nose tackle, he's a guy that can do that. Wide receiver, we got Keandre Lambert Smith. He's fast. He moves well. There were some drop issues, but he's got some highlight reel catches, limited route tree. And then Oronde Gadsden, the second out of Syracuse, tight end, dad, Dolphins legend, Oronde Gadsden. Just someone that's not going to play in line. So he's more of a big slot. Tonka Hemingway out of South Carolina. I'm a big fan of his. But he's a bit undersized. Didn't test nearly as well as his teammate, TJ Sanders, who went early in the second round. I still believe in Hemingway, though. I'm a big fan of Marcus Harris out of California. Kind of a stout build, limited length, not suboptimal. He plays with his hair on fire, isn't afraid of his physicality, will put his nose in the action. Just a player I want on my team. Offensive tackle, Chase Lunt out of UConn. Good mover, but he's 25. I don't love the play strength. Wide receiver, Ja'Cory Brooks out of Louisville. Probably goes undrafted. Doesn't sound like the consensus is pretty high on him. And to be fair, I just really like what he can do from a special teams perspective. He brings also some return capability. He brings blocked punts to the repertoire. So I think he could stick to a roster just because of that. Riley Mills is my dude out of Notre Dame. He's lean, needs to add some more weight. Doesn't have like the craziest get off. That's just not his game. His toolbox of pass rush moves. He needs to add some more arrows to the quiver, so to speak. But he plays low. He plays hard. He'd probably go. I think he maybe slips to late day 3 just because, unfortunately, he ended the year with a knee injury that kept him out of the offseason draft process. And then where are we at? We got to keep going. We got Jalen Rivers out of the U, Miami, baby. Probably a guard, but he's big and long. Probably could stick at tackle, just not great movement skills. Kind of limits what scheme you want to put him in. Ricky White out of UNLV. Didn't run well at the combine. Bounced back. Had a strong pro day. Feels pretty limited in his route tree. Might just be a vertical option. Drew Kendall out of Boston College. Center. Not great play strength. Very much a zone-heavy scheme, like an outside zone, wide zone. Jordan Hancock. Safety / corner. Let's just call him a defensive back out of Ohio State. Didn't really play on the outside. I think he can, though, with that build and his athletic ability. But he did play a bit as a safety, mainly a slot, though. Chandler Martin, linebacker out of Memphis. Dude plays all over the field. He has got great athletic ability. Plays with his hair on fire. Still putting it together as a run defender, so maybe more of a sub-package player. But he started to show some developments in coverage as the year went on. Running back out of Rutgers, Kyle Monangai. I love this dude. Not a great athlete. We knew what we were getting. Very violent runner. We got a Jaw Joyner, edge out of Minnesota. He's got some tools. He's got some length. Good get off. Probably more just of a DPR. Rush from a Y9. Pin your ears back and go and get after it. I got a couple of linebackers here. Jack Kaiser out of Notre Dame. Good athlete. Very seasoned player. He's going to be 25 early on in his rookie season, but he's going to bring a lot of special teams experience. I think he could be an early like sub-package linebacker. And then Sean Dolac, I think it's Deloche, out of Buffalo. Undersized, solid enough athlete, but very much someone that knows if he gets caught out of position, he might be cooked. Showed some ball skills, always around the football, got a ton of tackles to his name over the last 2 years. It's hard to bet against him. And then my boy, Malachi Moore out of Alabama. I think he might be a slot only, but I won't put it past him. He played more of a traditional safety role this past year and still looked good. There was a nagging back injury early in his career. Hasn't been a problem the last couple of seasons. Maybe people want to talk about, maybe a potential character concern with him, but he's been a captain for Alabama the last few years. He has a ton of experience also on special teams, but I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it. Like you look at the Vandy game, he had a hot head, let his emotions get the best of him. It wasn't something that was a problem over the course of his career. He's been with Alabama since 2020. All right, let's get down to the final 10 here. Jalen Reed out of Penn State. Some people have him higher than I do. It is what it is. He's safety. I don't think he's got like crazy good athleticism, but very much good route recognition. Can play himself into position to make a play on the ball, but I just wasn't a big fan of his game. I think he was like, yeah, he's a solid player. Midday 3. It's kind of where I was at with him. Also, the tackling technique was a bit hit or miss. Jay Toya out of UCLA, big body, nose tackle. There's a premium on these guys if you could find them. Very high floor as a run defender, but no real lateral ability. Pass rush is just a total work in progress. He did struggle to finish plays. He's had a missed tackle rate over 20% the last 2 seasons. Not real sack production. You're getting him as an early down player. Andrew Armstrong, I was shocked to see his teammate go ahead of him, considering Armstrong was much more productive. I get it. Maybe it didn't test out great as an athlete, but he's got prototypical X wide receiver size. Rocket Sanders, running back out of South Carolina. I don't know if you knew this. There's a lot of good running backs in this class. They just are. And Sanders is one of them. He's a bit of a pinball when it comes to eating contact between the tackles. And if he sees daylight, he can burn you. However, with him, it's either no gain, negative gain, or home run. I didn't see a lot of consistently where like he was getting these 3, 4, 5 yard pickups. It was either all or nothing. Connor Kobe, guard out of Iowa, very much a wide zone, outside zone blocking type of guard. Does have some tackle experience a couple of years ago there at Iowa. Hunter Waller out of Wisconsin. You want this dude around the line of scrimmage. Not huge range as an athlete, but he has a nose for the football. Keep him around the line of scrimmage. Nathan Carter out of Michigan State. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. He's very much a committee guy. I don't think his contact balance is going to wow you, but he is a tough runner with some really good athleticism. Kobe Keene, linebacker out of Penn State. Someone that I think's got some limited athleticism. I saw some struggle in pursuit. Length gave him problems, whether it was in run defense, trying to disengage, or even in coverage, where more physical and longer pass catchers were able to catch the ball on him, talking tight ends, maybe even big slots. But for the most part, he's a hard hitter, plays with prototypical size and play strength. We got Kobe Hudson out of Central Florida. I liked, not loved him. He was a savvy route runner, good release package, very solid at the contested catch, could work inside and out. However, the long speed, it's kind of meh. Inconsistent ball skills. If you look at his career drop rate, 12.1%, and really not really dynamic after the catch. And then the guy to cap off my top 100, and then maybe I'll look further down and see some players I could think maybe could potentially be good steals. Ollie Gordon, running back out of Oklahoma State. It kind of was a down year for him. He had the DUI to start the season. He got heavier, didn't look better. There's just better backs in this class. Now, let's roll through some of these guys I might like. CJ Dupree, man, low key. Don't sleep on him, out of Alabama. He had some receiving upside initially at Maryland, transfers out to Alabama, just becomes a blocking tight end. There's some pass catching ability there. Mac McWilliams, corner out of Central Florida. I like him in the slot. You could play him on the outside in a off-zone heavy scheme. I think he would match up really well there. We got Mitchell Evans, tight end out of Notre Dame. He was coming off the ACL injury, so wasn't really heavily utilized in the offense until later in the year. And Riley Leonard was your freaking quarterback. It was basically a run-heavy offense. Let's see. Teddy Buchanan, linebacker out of California. Very good coverage linebacker. Holland Pierce. He's long. He's big. Probably more of a gap scheme guy. Woody Marks, man. I love Woody Marks out of USC, but not like a high-end athlete. Good, not great running back, but he can affect the game in all facets. So I like that. We got Carson Vincent out of Alabama A&M. Very much a project offensive tackle, but he's got some good tools. Kenan Crawford, I love mentioning him, out of Nevada, safety. He became a full-time starter just this past season. Prior to that, he spent 4 years, I believe, at Texas. So there is a bit of a pedigree there, but couldn't start. Ended up having to transfer to actually get that starting opportunity. Tested out really well. Has a ton of special teams experience to his name. Caleb Etienne out of BYU. He's a mountain of a man. He's got some length. He's got some interesting tools. I'm fascinated. Does need to clean up some parts of his game, though. Listen, I like Jonah Monheim out of USC. He's a center, probably a center-only prospect with limited length. You worry a little bit about his anchor, but I think he did a better job than what I initially thought at the Senior Bowl when I went back to actually see the video footage rather than what I saw in the stands. I was like, oh, wow, he's got a lot more wins than I expected. Let's see. Any deep sleepers I want to shout out here. Isaiah Nayer out of Nebraska. Had the breakout year at Wyoming in 2022. Goes to Texas, gets hurt. Stays there for another year, just lost in the rotation. They had a lot of receivers there. Goes to Nebraska. Moderate success, but kind of a freak with 6'4", 222 pounds. Really good length, but also ran exceptionally well. Jalen McLeod is my guy. He made my sleepers video. If you want to hear more of an in-depth conversation with him, you could go check out that sleeper video. Let's see. Any other guys that pop off for me? Did I have the Washington State tackle here? I guess not. He's got such an... Okay, I do have him here. Okay, I want to at least bring his name up. Willie Lampkins. Golly, if you weren't 5'10", 279 and didn't test out well, like, you love this dude's grit. The center only prospect in my opinion at North Carolina. Let's talk. I want to talk a little bit about Esa Pohl out of Washington State. I don't know if I did bring him up on the channel yet. I know he was one of my final watches. I watched him, and then I watched Caleb Etienne, and then I called it quits. Said, okay, these are all the guys I'm going to watch for this draft class. Former zero-star recruit because he didn't play football in high school. He came from the 2019 class. He ends up attending Cal State East Bay for computer engineering. Eventually drops out, meets with coaches at, I think it's Charbot. I don't know how to pronounce it. Charbot College. That's where his older brother was a defensive line coach. His older brother was actually initially a defensive tackle at Washington State. So Pohl actually starts his career as a defensive lineman, but ends up switching to offensive tackle, ends up being the starter by the end of the 2021 season. Remember, he's 2 years removed from high school. This is his first taste of football. And then he becomes a 3-star JUCO recruit because he has a phenomenal year at offensive tackle. He goes to Washington State 2023. This is his first taste of high-level coaching. And has a pretty solid season. He does have double knee surgery, which I looked up, doesn't seem, it's not minor, but it's not major. A lot of athletes can come back from it, so I'm not too worried about that. Has been a full-time starter the last 2 years at Washington State. He's very green to his game, but he's more well put together than you would expect. He's got a very powerful build, very light on his feet, but he's still growing. The game's still slowing down for him. No real alignment versatility. He's been a left tackle his whole career. So very much a project, but I wanted to give him a shout out. Also, let me give a shout out to freaking Frentrell Cypress. Has been on my watch list since having a big year at Virginia. That was back in what? That was back in 2022. So again, someone I've been watching for quite some time. Tested out really well. I like that he's got some scheme versatility, good length, fluid mover. Just golly, doesn't play the football necessarily well in air. He had a ton of pass breakups over his career. Would love to see better ball skills, but I want to give him a shout out. I mean, dude, well, I've been talking about 30 minutes. I've talked about a bunch of guys. I hope you're ready for day 3. I am live streaming day 3. You're going to get my real-time analysis, instant reactions. It's going to be a ton of fun. Maybe we'll get some players that are currently on NFL teams moved. Oh, we'll see. Will Shedeur get drafted? We'll find out. So join us for that. Special thanks to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Thank you for sponsoring today's video. As always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.